and this is on the Sedona Lace Vortex set. I got this set for Christmas, so I've had a couple weeks to play with it and try out different ways of using all these brushes and finding the best way I like to use them. So I've had a chance to use these brushes quite a few times and really get a good feeling of how I like these brushes and how they work. So I'm going to go ahead and start at the top and go through all of the different brushes. So the first brush is the FB07. This is called the Flat Top Buffer, and this whole little kit comes with this little pamphlet, which I think is awesome because it actually goes in and tells you all the brushes' uses and everything they're good for. I'll tell you whether they're synthetic and what they suggest their uses for. And so this is nice because it doesn't absorb like natural hairs do because it's synthetic, and it doesn't get stained on the tips. They're colored darker. And I mean, if you look at the density of this brush, it's just amazing. Like, I mean, here's a classic Sigma duo fiber brush. Like, you can see how, you know, it's got that typical softer finish. Like, this thing is legit. Like, it is so dense, and just putting on your foundation is so smooth. Like, it's supposed to give an airbrushed finish, and honestly, it does. It gives just a great, nice finish. My only complaint is that I wish it had a little more contoured edge. They may carry a brush that has that in another collection or separately, but I do find I can still work it in around the edges pretty well, and this is by far my favorite brush out of the collection to put my foundation on. Next brush is what I call the concealer brush, which is the EB11. It's basically another synthetic brush. They call it this flat synthetic, and because this is synthetic, it's really great for using creamy products because, again, it's not going to absorb. So this you could use for eyeshadow base. I like to use it for concealer, and it's firm enough that you could use it on the angle and go under your eyebrow. I feel like the bristles are very smooth, they're very dense, and it works good on cream and powder. And so it's just kind of a good overall brush. Sorry, this is dirty because I just barely use these for my makeup. So this is what they call the Universal Blender. This is the EB09, and it's just a big flat shader brush basically. I do like this brush. I felt like after I washed it, it did fray a little bit. I'd say overall I haven't had a lot of shedding with these brushes. I did notice a little bit the first time I washed them, but I'd say the shedding has been very minimal from these. This is just a great universal brush. I mean, you can just use it to pack on color. You can go back and kind of smudge out lines. You can pretty much do anything with this. It's pretty nice. You can apply, you know, crease color with it this way. It's just a pretty good, nice, like I said, universal brush. Okay, so then they have a EB13, and this is the synthetic blender, and this is nice because it's good for creamy products again. So what I like to do is use this in two different ways, and I actually got an extra one of these in a little makeup palette, and I love that I have two because I use two. But what I'll do with this is I'll take either my concealer and just kind of dab it out and blend it out to soften the lines, or I'll go around my nose and under my eyes, or little areas where it's hard to get that big flat top in, and it just kind of brushes it in and softens lines and gets in there really good. Again, it's a really dense brush. It's got a nice firmness to it, and you can also use this for contouring. Like, so if you want to do some drastic contouring on the cheeks, through the nose, or anything like that, this is a great brush for that. Okay, so the next brush is probably my, I don't know if it's my favorite brush, but seriously, I love this brush. So this is the pointed crease brush, and this is the EB15. And I mean, just look at this thing. It basically is like the tulip contour, which I'll get to in a minute, but like miniature sized. It is so cool. I've never used a blending brush like this. I mean, you look at your typical, like this is my little Sigma. You know, it's a fluffier bristled brush, which is kind of similar to this, but these ones are just a little more dense. But this has a tulip contour, and it is like amazing. if you have smaller eyes, this is great because sometimes what happens is I'll go to apply like a crease color. I want to do more of a cut crease look. And I go to blend it with these bigger brushes. And it's like I'm blending, and all of a sudden like my color's all the way up to here. And then I have to go back and remove some of the color. And this, it's like if you want to have that precise application, you can go in, apply that, and then just barely stroke it along. And it, like where the tip is so small, it barely smudges it and blends it without over blending it. So it's like if you go through all this work applying these intricate colors and then you go through with the blending brush and turn it into one big brown mess, it's like, what's the point? This keeps the colors where you want them, but blends them out so they're seamless. I love this brush. Like this brush, probably, I could say it's my favorite. The detailed shader. And this is the EB21. And this is just a nice little flat brush. It's pretty universal again. It's got pretty firm. You can smudge it underneath the eyes. You can apply to the lid, especially if you have hooded or smaller eyes where you need a smaller brush to get in there. It's great for inner corners. It's great for under the brow as well. So this is just a great overall smaller shader brush. Okay, now for liner brushes. There's two liner brushes. First one is the EB23, and this is your typical angle brush. It's got a nice firm but soft texture to it. It's not too scratchy. This works really good for under the eyes, for gel liner, anything like that, using shadow underneath the eyes like I'm doing here. The next brush is the EB19, and this is the bent tip liner brush. And this is great because when you're putting on your liner, the tip is bent so you can actually see where you're applying it a little bit better. And so that just comes in handy because then you're not, your hand's not in the way while you're applying your eyeliner. And this works really good as well with eyeshadows, gel liners, cream liners, anything like that. And it's nice because the tip's really fine, so you can get in really close to the inner part of your eyelid so you can get a really nice, fine, detailed line. The next brush is the EB17, and this is the double-ended eyebrow brush and spoolie. And this one's nice because the bristles are very thick and packed and short, which makes them very dense and work really well for applying products to your eyebrows. And it's more compact than your traditional liner brush. And the spoolie end is great because you can use it to tame any wild hairs, shape your eyebrows the way you'd like, and also it works great to go through after your mascara to get out any lumps or clumps. And so it's just great everyday grooming tool. Okay, as far as face brushes go, besides the one I talked about for the foundation, there are 3 other brushes. The first one I'll talk about is the FB03, and this is the Tulip Contour. And this one you can also use to apply foundation, but I feel like the brush is so soft that I prefer a denser brush so that the product doesn't get as absorbed into the bristles of the brush. But I love this brush for highlighting, contouring, just blush in general, anything like that, just because it has such a nice angle that I don't feel like I'm going to get this huge bronzer going on right here or anything. So it's great to go around your temples, your forehead, anything like that. Just a really, really nice shaped blusher highlighting brush. The next one is the FB05, and this one is the Dome Contour. And this is kind of similar to what I was talking about with this, that I wanted something more round shaped. But the difference is this one is super dense, and then this one is more soft like the other one. You can apply your foundation with this. This reminds me a little more of like my Shoe Mirror brush, but still not quite as dense. And it works okay for a foundation application. I just feel like that one is so silky smooth that it just applies an airbrush finish, so that I don't find myself reaching for this one for that purpose. But I do love this for controlled blush. I mean, I think sometimes, especially with brighter colors or anything, you could have a heavy hand, and this really helps you keep the blush, bronzer, anything right where you want it, and I feel like it gives you a lot of control. And I mean, it's just a great quality. Like I said earlier, you're not going to have a lot of shedding with these brushes, so you're not, you know, dusting it on and face covered in black hairs all over the place. Okay, so the last face brush is the FB01, and this is the Jumbo Fan Brush, and this one is great for highlighting, is what I usually like to use it for, right here, but you can also use it for bronzer, a little bit of contouring. The other thing I found you can use it for is just powdering your whole face. I mean, you can literally take your powder and just like brush it over your face like this, and it really keeps your foundation undisturbed and you're not like rubbing it off while you're applying it. The last thing I like to do is put some bronzer on it and then just stroke it down my neck like this. And you would be amazed how even it gets your bronzer coverage to blend it in. 'Cause sometimes when I use a kabuki, I feel like you almost get like streak marks going on. And this, it just makes it so seamless and it's so soft. The last brush I forgot to talk about is the lip brush. And this is just a great lip brush. I mean, it has really smooth bristles. It's really nice for fine detail work. It gets around the lips very nicely. There's not a whole lot to say about it. It's just a really nice brush. So that is my basic overview of my Sedona Lace Vortex brush set. I would say I would highly recommend it. The price point on this I think is $80, and I feel like that is a great price for all these brushes. I mean, let's see how many you're getting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. All those brushes for $80. That's just a great deal. I mean, you can pay upwards to $40 for one brush. So to have all of those for $80, I mean, that's just a great deal. So anyhow, that is my basic overview. If you have any questions about Sedona Lace brushes or what I think about anything or anything else you can think of, go ahead and let me know, ask me, whatever, and I will see you guys later. Bye!